you might be glad to know, or you might be sad, depending how you're looking at this, to know that we're coming to the end of our coverage, and this is the last line that you need to know on this interesting gambit line against Bishop C5. And I think after you know this one, everything else you've got, you'll be well on your way to having a lot of fun. So what is the last variation? Well, obviously we're starting with our standard moves, Bishop C4, and now Bishop C5. So this is the last time we're looking at this. Yes. And here we castle first, completing our development. Black is now going to go with a main move, knight to f6, and we play our very fun gambit move, d4, really jolting your opponent awake, or hopefully they remain asleep, but they should be waking up at this moment. They might have pre-moved castling there, expecting you to go d3. Maybe they think you're doing a mouse slip. Maybe they think you're just completely bonkers. Either way, it's a good move. And, well, we do look at e takes d4. That transposes to the Max Lang proper attack. Yeah, very shortly. That'll come up in the next segment. And our move orders get there, as I'm sure you're aware, is through knight to f6, d4, takes, castles, bishop c5. That's coming up. But at the moment, we're just going to finish our coverage on bishop takes. Now we know that we take this one, knight takes, and now bishop g5. And this keeps the f-pawn in reserve. And like I mentioned in the previous video, f4 is a more common move there. So bishop g5, as favoured by Danil Zhubov, is rarer and I think a very interesting idea. I mean, anything that Zhubov plays rises my eyebrows a notch or two. Do you like the way I'm like multitasking there? Now, we had a look at every other move really that's of any relevance here, except for d6. And d6, I think we can consider as certainly one of our main lines. What do we do here? Well, we now play f4, of course. And this is very important, this two-part plan, bishop g5 and f4. This is how we get our pressure. And there are a number of moves here which our analysis, mine and Richard's, has decided bishop g4 of being the strongest, developing with tempo. But let's make sure we have a look at the other options. Well, let's start, shall we, with bishop to e6. What can be more natural than placing the bishop on e6, trying to block out our piece, trying to make some exchanges, and playing in this natural way. Now, bishop d3 is a move you can often play against this. If you're not sure, you can just sidestep, keep the pieces on the board, and keep ideas of f5. So the general rule is bishop d3 is okay. But our theoretical move here, and this really keeps the pressure on our opponent. Remember, we are gambiting. We're not necessarily going to panic ever. Don't panic in chess throughout this course and start, oh, I need to do something. But if we've got the chance to go energetic, we've got the chance to go forwards, we will grasp it. And in this case, taking on e5 is such a chance. Now, after this move, black should really recapture on e5. But let's first have a look at what happens if he goes bishop takes c4, which some of your opponents, if they're not aware of this position, might be tempted to play. And this position is good for white, because we just go queen takes d4, and this is a little bit of a forcing variation, very simple. Bishop takes f1, e takes f6. And, well, I mean, this is already completely lost, really, for black. That bishop is not doing a great deal, is it? But our bishop and queen is. Look how strong our bishop is in some of these lines where black goes wrong. We have the simple threat of pawn takes g7, and we can just win that bishop. So this is very good. So after bishop e6, f takes e5. They have to recapture here. And this position can come about from playing f4 first before bishop g5. And here, I mean, this is quite a normal way for black to play. And here, you've got to be a little bit accurate because, you don't want to give black the chance to play a couple of moves and to, well, okay, you can play a couple of moves, but we've got to improve our position. So maybe now it's a little bit too late to move our bishop away because white's got to face this half-open d file. So we might as well develop a piece, knight a3. And this is maybe a hard move to remember, but it's a natural developing good move. We don't want to put it on d2 because we kind of block up the file there. And we don't mind exchanges as long as they're on our terms because, again, one of the whole points of this variation is the long-term pressure we have on the g5 d8 diagonal. This is key to all of our plans, really. And let's also remember that black's other knight is going to be shooed away with c3. Now, black either takes the bishop or plays another move. Now, if he plays like queen d7, well, we can win our pawn back immediately, which is going to be fine. In some cases, you can even try the more adventurous rook takes, which stops black from castling queenside. But, I mean, this is maybe not needed. Just win the pawn back. And if we win that pawn back, generally we can have a better structure because of the play on the f-file. So queen e7 looks like it makes more sense to me. And now it's time to push that other knight away. c3, the knight drops back. And here we see a move that we saw in the last video, and it's a very useful move to play. Again, it just shows how patient we can be in this position. I mean, the only thing I don't really want to allow is the black king to easily get to the queen side without creating enough pressure. I really don't mind if he castles king side because he's always going to have a weakened king with our queen coming over, the rook swinging around. Or again, the other theme that we can do if he does castle that king side is play it slowly. Queen e1, queen h4, not be in a rush. We don't need to take on f6. We only take on f6 when the pin is threatened to be broken. Otherwise, don't rush it unless you have a concrete reason. But here, king h1 is a very nice, useful move to play. I mean, rook f2 looked a bit artificial to me, but the computer quite likes rook f2. But king h1, I just think makes a lot of sense. We're sidestepping any of these checks. And with the queen on e7, we must watch out for that check. And we're also saying to black, okay, what are you going to do? If you castle kingside, yeah, game on. If you castle kingside, I'm going to go queen e1 and I'm going to take here at the right moment and checkmate you. If you don't castle there, what are you actually doing? So let's have a look. And a number of moves again have been played. h6 being the most logical. Black really must deal with that pin at some moment. Now, bishop takes c4 here is a move that actually runs into bishop takes f6. And our knight has a tremendous route now around to f5 or d5. So if you ever get this move, our knight is just brilliant. It's coming directly in. I mean, if black could castle queenside here, it would just be compensation. But the fact that black can't castle, for example, as soon as he plays this move, we move our queen like to f3. He can't castle queenside. We've got more than just compensation. We've got ginormous compensation. So this is a very useful move to play. As soon as our bishop is taken, remember, I did say we don't take on f6 until we need to. But in this case, I like it because it's just simple. It's just a simple way to play. Because that, the position has changed. So I say we can take on f6 if we've got a specific reason to do so. And the bishop on e6 that black used to have was controlling d5 and f5. Now it's not. We take on f6. So you've got to do this, individual case to individual case. But just don't rush the opening moves and, think individually on each try. The only independent move black can play here is queen e6. But after knight takes c4, and again, this taking here, knight e3, just what we want. This actually has occurred. It's occurred in the Czech lead, Novkav, Kliknar, but this just is beautiful for us. That pawn, we're not even going to be a pawn down. That's going to drop. So if black tries queen takes c4, though, well, we get our pawn back, and our bishop stops black castling. I mean, you might be thinking, oh, big attack here. There's never a big attack just with one piece, unless it's a queen and you're getting back spanked. But try to avoid being back spanked unless you enjoy that kind of checkmating. And let's say queen takes e4 is the only way to continue. But now we just play queen d2. And yeah, black's been quite greedy, but our bishop stops the rook coming here, and it's backfired. Rook e1 is coming, and we even, got time to play b4, b5. The black king is trapped. So very nice advantage. Berger, Fodor, German League. And this is just very nice. So bishop takes c4 doesn't seem to be the right way for black to play. Now, what about knight b8? Now, this weird move, I don't think you're going to face often, but it did occur in the Finnish league in 2016. And the idea makes some sense, right? We want to go here and just consolidate, but it loses time. And now we should be looking for new threats, new targets. Of course, if your opponent ever plays a backwards move, that's the kind of position where your eyes should open and you should be like, right, okay, well, it's taken him a lot of time. He might defend that way, but what new targets can I probe? And here, probing b7 is the way to go. And it's really hard for black to defend that one. The game continued c6, but after bishop takes e6, black now had to take with a pawn. And here, knight c4. And this regains the pawn with some compensation. Knight bd7 is just met by queen takes pawn, and knight takes here. I say compensation, I mean advantage, of course. So knight b8, it's a kind of nice positional idea, but the thing is with positional ideas, they're all well and good as long as you've got time to do them. You can't always do positional ideas if you're getting checkmated. And one of the things with this course is that black can't really just play very delicate maneuvers. He has to play very actively. He can't say, oh, I'll maneuver into that little outpost. I'll move my knight back, swivel it around, come over there. Oh, checkmate. Yeah, that's the kind of problem he's going to get. So rook d8, another normal move. But after queen e2, I don't think this changes much. And this was actually Mosesian versus Mickey Adams. And Mosesian, with the white pieces, went on to win against one of England's greatest ever players, if not the greatest, in the big, important tournament, Wake Z 2009. So it doesn't really change much, this move. You don't, where'd you put the queen? You could put it there, but e2 is nice solid square as well. Maybe the queen has ideas of coming to b5 in some positions, but nice centralized square. No rush. Anything else? Well, rook g8 is a bizarre move where black's getting ready for the capture here. And again, here, we don't need to rush. So let's just say, what do you do in a position where black tries to do nothing, which a rook g8 move kind of is? Well, queen b3 now is a mistake because black can castle queenside. We don't want to do that. So if black is playing a move like this, we should be thinking logically, why did he play that? Well, he's only doing that if we take there. So he's not actually really doing anything. He doesn't have a good plan. So then I'd be thinking, how can I improve my pieces? And I don't really want to rush to take there. Why do I want to do that? But my knight is the only sort of bad piece. I'm actually just going to play bishop b3, which occurred in Odev, Kazimov, and Ankara 2018. And this left white with very healthy compensation. And the simple idea is now the bishop is defended, we can move our knight, and our knight can come around to the key e3 square. And this is another nice idea, the knight being on a3. It's got a number of ways to get to e3. e3 is the square you want it on, because then it can come to so many even better squares. So this small maneuvering idea works incredibly well here. Let's go back again. So now after king h1, I think we come to h6 now. There's not really anything else to do. Black's got to do this at some point, right? You can't just mess about with rook g8 for his whole life. And now we've got to decide, but I mean, it's an easy decision to make. The rule is when our bishop is, pushed to do something, we take, yeah? We don't want to be pushed back with g5. Our bishop's not so good. And let's damage that pawn structure when we have to. And now after this move, what do you think you should play here? And this is something you should know the answer to if you've been paying attention. So can you see it? Well, I mean, immediate ideas like Queen F3 is certainly not bad, trying to win the pawn. But again, that does allow black to castle. And rather than rushing, Queen F3 shows a little bit of impatience. I don't want the king to castle. No, no, no. We should be thinking also, what's black going to play here? And again, it's not clear what he's going to play. So I really like the move Bishop B3 again. Sarek, Mitten, Doha 2014. And the reason I like this is, okay, if the rook comes here, now the queen comes here, you can't castle. So very nice. If you take on this square, I might even take with a pawn. So I've got the A file if you do castle. Where's black king going to go? We're being patient. If rook G8, knight C4. And if rook G6, we get this lovely position, knight E3, and obviously fantastic compensation here with that knight having many options. And our queen has natural moves in. If black ever takes our knight, well, again, this is a different compensation, but still fantastic compensation. Don't let black castle. But again, at the right moment, we've got such aggressive moves of queen zipping its way over here. So all in all, this is all pretty easy to play, right, for white. If bishop e6, we just take and we get this nice game. So bishop e6, I think, is a move you'll face a lot, but it's quite pleasant for white, it has to be said. So the next option we look at is queen e7. And this has been fairly popular, actually, in recent online games. But again, it needn't be feared. And again, this is why I said earlier, case-to-case situations, you have to change your ways sometimes. And now that f7 is not defended, we can actually go for a more forcing consideration by now taking on f6. And I do realize this breaks the rules. You can play other moves, but in this case, we have a concrete reason. So when we take it, we only take here for a concrete reason. And the concrete reason, I mean, also, in actual fact, f5 is of quite a lot of interest. We're playing this bit slower, but our concrete reason after this one is that black really has to take back with a pawn immediately. He can't take with a queen because this simple move shows the concrete reason, f7. And when he takes back with a pawn here, we can actually play f5. And this is a positional idea we have yet to see, but it's actually, again, a position where we've got to show a lot of patience, but I really like this kind of idea. We're not trying to smash black up too quickly, but I wanted to throw this line in as another way you might want to perceive the position. And what we're actually doing, we're playing this very slowly. We're going to kick that knight away. We're making sure black's bishop can only come to d7. And we're going to maneuver our knight yet again around to e3 and into d5. And we're awaiting to see where black puts his king. If black doesn't put his king anywhere, our knight will land there. Our queen can come over here. If he goes kingside, well, we know what to do. If he goes queenside, we have a pawn storm. And this may seem a little bit slow, but actually, I think it's very difficult for black to be comfortable here. And this is one of the things with gambits. You know, often if you're not going to get quick victories all the time, but as long as you get that pressure for the whole game, well, I, for one, I'm very, very happy. So let's just put some normal moves on the board. Bishop d7, kick the knight, knight here, and now knight to a3. And we're keeping black tied up. We have this very nice maneuver. I'd probably play b4 first in anticipation for castling. And yes, black's a pawn up, but it's really a useless pawn because, again, another way I'd say you evaluate position, turn the blooming computer off for a start often, even though the computer doesn't mind this, but think like a human and look at your position. And you know what you can do? You can look at it and you think which side I'd rather be. Just turn off the computer, turn off my analysis, sit there, you know, on chessboard, look at it, think of the plans you can play, think of what ideas you want to play. And then an interesting idea is flip the board around. So flip it around. So you look at it from your opponent's position. Do the same there and think, okay, well, I'm black here. What am I going to do here? What plans am I going to do? You get a different perspective. And I think if you did that with this position, you know, you'd understand that white's game is much more preferable in a lot of ways, because white has easy plans. Push the pawns, attack. Black's most likely to castle over there. Natural ways to improve our pieces, as we said, the knight coming here. We can pressurize f7, even stop black castling or winning a pawn if he does. And if we look at it from black's point of view, what can black do? I don't really know. He doesn't have any active breaks for his pawns. The G file is his only idea, but it's going to take a lot of moves until he gets anything on that file. So I'm not worried about that. So interesting little new idea there. Now, what about h6? Well, again, with the move h6, we're forced to make a decision. And our decision is to capture on f6. And after g takes, well, again, this f5 idea is possible. But in actual fact, I prefer playing f5 when the queen's on e7, which you may find peculiar. But the reason for that is that in the long term, when my knight hits d5, it hits the queen, which is not ridiculous. And in the shorter term, you could say the queen is preferably placed here because it gives black a plan. And after f5, black's plan is c6 and d5, the queen supporting that break. I mean, it's unlikely he's going to get that anyway because we've got c3. But there is an argument to be said the queen's better placed there. So after g takes f6, again, a bit of patience is needed. We don't want to commit to a full-blown attack until we know where black's king's going. Let's improve our pieces. And now knight to a3, I like. This is where the knight often goes, as you see. And after bishop e6, well, let's play c3. And we're getting that normal counterplay. Actually quite dangerous here. So the knight goes back. Well, we can take and we can come in here, check. You know, black's position is not without risk. One idea at least. And we've seen that kind of thing before. You can even just play more positionally there with f5 and forcing the knight to come round. There's many ideas. But bishop takes c4 is maybe a move which again demonstrates our ideas. Knight takes. Let's say the knight goes back to e6. And again, you've got to think case-to-case situation. This at least forces us to do something. And rather than playing f5 here, it's time now to open the position. I mean, preferably, I think in the spirit of this course, taking on e5 is your #1 solution because you open the lines. And the open lines are generally going to benefit the sacrificer because the sacrificer has the initiative and you need open lines. And this way, you're going to get a line for the d rook if it takes. And if the e pawn takes, well, there's actually even queen b3. And after something like rook b8, again, knight e3 is one of our key maneuvers. And black really has to castle at some point. But now I actually like rook f5 because now we know where to target. Rook here, our queen can now come back around to h5 and the knight can come into g4. Everything attacking that king. There's no g-pawn to protect it. So it looks like a very tasty idea, this one. So, yeah, I mean, these lines, as you can see, they're quite fun. They're quite easy to play. So h6, simple solution. We just play knight a3 and we force that one away and we take on e5. Now, knight e6 is something... This is always a solid option for black, this one. It's always a solid way to play, where we're often going to get an ending, but we will normally get our material back with a small push. And here, taking on e5 is correct. When black has two choices, if he takes back on e5, I would just go for this simple solution. Don't be afraid to enter the endings. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not always going to smash our opponent up. And if we can get a small advantage in the ending, then we're going to have to learn how to play these positions. I mean, we're just, you know, we're going to get brilliant victories. But this structure with the open F file and black's pieces all on the back rank is really quite nice. With the knight coming either to a3 to d2, the rook coming over to this one. It's a small advantage that black will, remember, black will be very uncomfortable playing this as well. So maybe black should therefore try knight takes g5. And this is quite a bit more interesting. We take here, and now we create some threats. Queen to d4, targeting f6. Queen e7, targeting this one. And also we don't want to allow the queen to e5. So we should now take on f6. Now, after the exchange here, we have rook takes f7. And again, the queens actually have come off here. And okay, you know, this is black trying to do something. But again, he's actually left himself in a pretty terrible position. Our rook's stopping black castling on the 7th rank. We just have to move the knight even to c3. We don't mind doubling our pawns if we can get a rook to e1. Black's in serious trouble. So after f4, the final option and the best move for black is bishop to g4. And bishop to g4 is at least gaining some tempo, some time here. And if you did look at the introductory game, you should be able to already remember some of the key parts of what you're trying to do here. The issue with moving our queen now is that we allow some knight takes e4 and we're losing time. We should go into the ending here and we should take on f6. This forces a little sequence. Rook takes d1, bishop takes d1, bishop takes d8. And now, well, there's either the best move, rook takes d8. We have already looked at this, or there is the move bishop to e2. Now we have, again, I would suggest you go and just check out the introductory game here. I'm going to go through the lines extremely quickly here because this is a repeat of the model game. But this is the theory section, so I just want to just make sure you know it. But bishop e2, by the way, is a mistake because we simply take it, go king f2, and after knight d4, we just go bishop takes c7, and we get this lovely position we've seen already. So Rajabov played rook takes d8, and now we have rook takes, and we looked at, or c3. Now, I'm going to, again, I think they're both actually quite decent moves here, and they both have some advantage for white. And this is surprising. It's actually a main line for black. Now, rook takes, I mean, Zubov played c3, but rook takes d1 is actually very interesting. It might be a slight improvement of the last line. I feel if black wants to play this position, he should play h6, bishop h4, and d6 first. I think that, as we saw in the last video, the last thing, h6 on move 7 as a main line, it's probably black's best main line, because having a pawn on h7 here, it's given us many extra options. For example, rook takes d1, and now after knight takes c2, we give this one up, and yes, we go 3 pawns down here, but now we have h4, which we wouldn't have with the pawn on h6. And after something like h6, now we can even play h5. And this is, again, a very interesting way to play. We're going to win this pawn with our knight coming in. I mean, we got 2 minor pieces of the rook. We're material down, but our minor pieces are very good here. This is very interesting. This, you know, that's a little bit risky, I agree. And Dubov's way of playing c3, it is slightly more adventurous. We saw this before when the main line goes bishop e2, and now we've got to take here. Bishop takes c4, rook c1. That bishop really has to go to d3. It's got to keep trying to threaten things or capture. And now taking on c7 first. And this is actually a little bit difficult for black, as we've seen. Black now has got some bullets to dodge. For example, if he goes, the best move is trying to go rook d7 when white has at least a draw. Other moves like bishop takes e4 allow us this tempo. And one of the things we're looking at doing is just winning these 2 pawns here when we have 2 connectors. And after bishop takes c6, this occurred in another Blanter Blitz game, Christensen versus Bachmann. But after rook takes b7, Christensen again had a nice advantage here. So one of the key positions is this, obviously, rook takes c7 position. Bishop takes e4 not working. If you take on d4 here, well, again, rook takes b7 is falling into our plans. And we get the same kind of thing where we've got these 2 pawns. Computer prefers white in all of these positions. And we should be able to keep this pawn under control with our knight and our king and our rook. So again, white's to be preferred here. And again, this is Banter Blitz game with Christensen's. So I think the key move is rook d7. Black's got to be willing to offer a draw when we could, of course, go for the draw. But it's worth, we want to play for a win here, we can repeat. But the way to play for a win, as we saw earlier on, is playing now d takes e5. And this gives us options of playing on d file. So now black has to take on b1. And after this move here, well, it probably is equal. But the key line, g3, as we mentioned, interesting idea. But this line actually leaves black somewhat still trying to get equality. Rook e8 has to be played. But now our rook is slightly more active. If the king comes to c7, we just go rook d5. It's a safe extra pawn. Black needs to go this way to at least have the idea of activating his rook. But now we played a very clever rook d2, just preparing for that one. The rook now activates. Our king comes in. And after this one, just king f3. This keeps a little bit more of an eye on g2. So if we went to e3, the issue is after takes rook here, rook to this square, g2's on pre. But if you can imagine in the other line of our king on f3, the same variation, if the rook comes here, we simply take this pawn and we've got a winning ending. We're going to motorize? We're going to eat all those pawns up, Pac-Man style. It's quite funny. I was thinking about, you know, I keep coming back to Pac-Man. I used to play it when I was a young kid, original computer game, OG of computer games. And I was thinking, if you guys ever been to like a furniture store, I had to do this a while back to get a settee before COVID. I mean, I hate going to furniture stores because the salesmen are on you, like they are on you, you know, like I don't know, like something's on something, chewing gum on a bloody school desk. And if you ever want to see a real life Pac-Man game, or if you ever want to play one, I suggest you go to a furniture store and just try to avoid the salesman. You know, because the salesman's going to be coming at you and you're going to be like, he's going to be getting near, and you go left around the settee. So there you go. If you ever want to play a bit of real life Pac-Man, avoid the salesman at a furniture store. hate salesmen, but I understand they have to do their job. And, you know, anyway, what am I going on about? So in this position, I expect that black's okay here. And this is a very forcing line. And you're quite likely to get this if your opponent's well prepared. But if anyone is better here, of course it is white. Let's look a little bit deeper. Rook c7. Now king takes e5 is the idea. And king f4. And what does black play again? This is the issue. It's not clear how he proceeds. I mean, we are getting ready to just advance over here, creating some holes, or bring our rook to d8 at the right time. And we are a pawn up. I mean, I expect, again, you know, I want to be fair that this is a draw, and it should be a draw. I don't want to, you know, get you in thinking that this is going to be winning every time, but you're on the better side of the draw. And you do remember have that other option of playing the two minor pieces. I'd say you practice out both ideas in some blitz games. With any opening, you can use blitz or rapid play preferably, but go and, once you've learnt this chessboard course, go and play this line and go and do that. Dedicate to it for like a month and this E4 repertoire and see how you get on. If you ever get confused or a bad position in those blitz games, don't press rematch, which I know is very tempting, and move on to the next one. But instead, look at the game, compare it to this course, and find out where you went wrong. That is really a key way to improve as a player. And I'm sure you want to improve because that's why you brought this course.